welcome back to a brand new episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I interview and chat with early career professionals and small business owners. We talk about their journeys, perspectives, pieces of advice, and all about their business or career. Now, this is a solo episode with just me because it is our 52nd episode. It's been 1 year of Virtual Coffee, which is so exciting. I started this last April in 2020, and you can hear more about Virtual Coffee and what the podcast is, kind of the why and how behind the podcast. That's episode 38, but it's also labeled as the trailer, so you should be able to find it pretty easily. That tells you more about the podcast itself. But I just wanted to hop on here and do an episode for our 1 year anniversary and just thank you all for listening. The podcast has definitely grown over the past year, which is so exciting, and I'm very grateful and so thankful for all of our constant listeners and our new listeners and listeners who tune in for a specific episode. Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate all of your support. And I just wanted to talk about a few things on this episode, why I still do the podcast. I'm personally very proud of myself because I've been a person who could never really stick to a hobby, at least once I entered college. I mean, in high school, middle school, elementary school, I played piano for like 10 plus years, did weekly lessons. I really loved that. I also danced consistently throughout the years. So those were my main hobbies then. But once I hit college, it was pretty hard to find a consistent hobby, and I would switch between a few. And so this has been really fun, and I'm really proud of myself for sticking to the podcast for 1 full year. We've put out an episode every single week since we started, except I think the second week. I think I released 1 episode because I was so excited, missed the next week, and then from there it's been 1 a week. But officially this is the 52nd episode, so one year of episodes. But anyways, I'm very proud of myself for sticking to it every week, and I just love doing it. It's really fun hobby for me after work. I do have my corporate quote unquote 9-to-5 job, which takes up a ton of time, but it's really fun to work on the podcast throughout the week and on the weekends. I wish I honestly had more time for it. It just gives me an outlet to talk to people who I never would have met before, just new small business owners and people in my community, people across the world. I've talked to people in other countries, and it's just been so fun. So thank you for supporting me and supporting my hobby. And over the past year, the podcast has really grown. Like I said, we have over 3,000 downloads, which is so exciting. We're in 38 plus countries were listened in, which is so amazing. And then we're almost in all 50 states here in the United States. We're only missing Wyoming, South Dakota, and Puerto Rico. So if you know anyone in those states, send them an episode, your favorite episode, and tell them to take a listen so we can check that state off our list. But yeah, the podcast has really grown, and so has our Instagram and other social media accounts. That's the one thing I really wish I had more time for. I think I'm pretty good at staying consistent with the episodes. I mean, I release weekly and talking to the guests, editing, because that I can all do, on my own, and it forces me to do it right. I never want to miss a Tuesday. But the other social media posts are quite hard to keep up with. It's hard to create a post just, on a random weekday when I have work and other life stuff going on. But either way, it's been a ton of fun. I do wish I had more time to dedicate to growing the Instagram. So with that being said, if you don't follow us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, other social medias yet, feel free to check us out, specifically our Instagram. That's where I'd say keep it most up to date. And on this episode, I also wanted to introduce myself. You should check that out, share it with your friends as well. But yeah, the podcast has really grown. And again, I'm just so thankful. Like I always say, my name is Alexa Collier. A little bit about me. I grew up in New Jersey in Toms River. Shout out to my family. It's near Seaside if you're familiar with the Jersey Shore. I grew up there my whole life, and then I went to college up at Brandeis University in a town called Waltham in Massachusetts. It's about 25 to 30 minutes outside of Boston. So went there for 3.5 years. That's where I met my now husband, Nathan. He's from Ohio. So we met up in Boston, lived there together for about a year to 2 years-ish, and then moved here where we are currently in Raleigh, North Carolina. So technically we're in a town called Clayton, which is a bit outside of North Carolina, but we are actually this Friday closing on a house in Wake Forest, which is very exciting. So that's where we'll be living starting in the beginning of May, which is awesome. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I have a, like I said before, quote unquote corporate job. I work for a large Fortune company, and I am kind of a consultant for a company, and I help them out, help teams out there. Really fun job. Won't get into it too much, but yeah, it's a little bit about me. I also majored in computer science and mathematics in college, but like I said, now I'm more so a consultant for a technology, healthcare-ish company. I have 2 dogs, Oliver and Hobbs, who you might hear sometimes in the background of episodes. I absolutely adore them. And yeah, it's just a quick little blurb about me. But of course, if you have any questions or anything at all, any comments, feel free to reach out to me on social media or email me. Be happy to chat with you. And I wanted to touch upon what I want to do for the next year with the podcast, this upcoming year, kind of starting now. I know in all my bios, actually just recently changed the Instagram bio, I've always said, and even in my intro, that I interview early career professionals and small business owners. And I think I'm going to start to kind of pivot that more towards small business owners. I don't really remember the last time I had an early career professional who didn't own their own business or was pursuing their own business. That was probably way back when in the start of the podcast. I mean, clearly, even though I interview small business owners, they're often early career professionals themselves, right? Either they're actually young or just starting in their business, or also have a corporate job where they are a quote unquote early career professional. But I think I'm going to start to more say small business owner. And then, of course, if there are early career professionals who come on, that's fine. I just kind of want to start branding the podcast more focused on small businesses. I just love that community, and that seems to be really where the podcast is headed. So that's one thing I really want to focus on in this upcoming year. And then, of course, like I mentioned, keep growing the Instagram, keep doing it weekly, and trying to get on a better editing schedule. I was really good there for a few months at the end of last year where I was really ahead with guests, but now I'm kind of doing it. I'll record an episode Saturday or Sunday, edit it, and then publish it that next Tuesday, which is always a bit of a rush. So just trying to keep the backlog up of guests. But yeah, just keeping consistent with it. If you have any suggestions, DM me, message me, email me. Would love to hear them. Of course, if you know anyone who wants to be on the podcast, please message me. I'd love to have you on. And yeah, I just absolutely love talking to everyone and learning from folks about, their passions and building a community, building a business. It's just very, very fascinating. And I learned so much. Again, thank you so much for 1 year. I can't believe it's been 1 whole year. It's been crazy. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this next year and seeing what happens with the podcast. So I know this is a pretty short episode here, but again, just wanted to hop on and really say thank you. And yeah, just that. Thank you so much for listening and supporting. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.